Los Angeles, a sprawling metropolis of concrete and light, stands as a symbol of 20th century transformation. Today, it is a city that pulses with the energy of modernity, yet beneath the skyscrapers and neon, there lies another world, an almost forgotten city, buried beneath layers of asphalt and development. Before the golden age of Hollywood, Los Angeles wasn't defined by fame, freeways, or luxury homes. It was a place defined by the vast expanse of the San Gabriel Mountains, where rugged terrain met the dry, open sky. By 1880, the city had only just begun to shed its identity as a remote cattle outpost and was poised on the brink of a rapid transformation. This was a city on the edge of history, caught in a whirlwind of cultural clashes, technological upheavals, and landscapes reshaped by human ambition. As we reconstruct this lost city through AI, we reveal a vanished landscape of adobe homes, Victorian mansions, and endless orange groves. Watch closely as we uncover lost landmarks buried beneath the urban sprawl, landmarks that will astound you when their locations are revealed. In 1880, Los Angeles was a city of approximately 11,000 people, small by today's standards, yet rapidly growing. This was a time of transition, with the population swelling as the city moved away from its isolated roots. The layout of the city itself reflected this change. The strict Spanish grid pattern around the historic plaza, which had served as the heart of California for nearly a century, remained intact. However, newer American streets began to cut aggressively into the surrounding hills and plains, reflecting the growing influence of eastward expansion. The city at this time was still largely horizontal, its skyline absent of the towering structures that would define its future. To the left, Bunker Hill, now a business district of steel and glass, was just beginning to take shape as one of the city's most prestigious residential neighborhoods. Victorian mansions were beginning to climb its slopes, offering their wealthy residents an exclusive view, one that would soon be obscured by the smog of industrialization. The air was thick with dust from unpaved streets, while the sweet scent of citrus from newly planted groves began to filter through the city's core. The heart of the city in 1880 was still the plaza, a place where the rhythm of life echoed the old ways, despite the growing influence of Americanization. For nearly a century, this plaza had been the focal point of California life, a symbol of its colonial past. Yet, by the time of our Reconstruction, a shadow loomed over it. Just 9 years earlier, violent riots had erupted here, underscoring the tensions between the lawless frontier and the encroaching order of the American state. The Pico House, a grand hotel built by Pio Pico, the last Mexican governor of California, stood at the center of this transformation. It represented a bridge between two eras, Mexican, California, and the American future. Its grand architecture meant to rival the finest hotels in San Francisco. Surrounding it, adobe structures were rapidly being crowded out by newer, more modern buildings. The plaza was a complex tapestry of cultures, where Mexican vaqueros, Chinese laborers, and Anglo businessmen all shared the same streets. To the east of the plaza lay Calle de los Negros, a street known for gambling and vice, which was slowly being dismantled to make way for more respectable commerce. This mix of old and new, of cultures colliding and coexisting, marked the very essence of early Los Angeles. In 1880, water was the lifeblood of Los Angeles, a city in a semi-arid landscape where controlling this precious resource was paramount. Before the advent of massive aqueducts, the city relied on the Zanja system, a network of open ditches that diverted water from the Los Angeles River. The Zanja Madre, or Mother Ditch, was the main artery of this system, winding its way through the city, delivering water to homes, fields, and orchards. The man who controlled this ditch held immense power, often making more money than the mayor. Why? Because in a dry land, he who controls the water controls everything. This network of open ditches was critical to life in the city, used for everything from drinking to irrigation. However, by 1880, these once innovative canals had become a health hazard. The ditches, once a vital source of life, were now polluted and dangerous. This marks a critical moment of change, as Los Angeles began its transition from an agrarian society to a modern, sanitary city. The shift from gravity-fed canals to piped water and brick sewers signaled the city's move towards industrialization and modern infrastructure, laying the groundwork for the future city that would soon rise from the dust. The arrival of the railroad in 1876 marked the defining event of this transformative period in Los Angeles. For years, the city had been isolated, accessible mainly by stagecoach or steamship. But with the Southern Pacific Railroad connecting Los Angeles to the national network, the city was suddenly thrust into the heart of the American economy. This new railway hub was not just a station. It was the valve through which the world poured into the city. It was chaotic, teeming with the energy of those arriving speculators, entrepreneurs, and, notably, the sick. Los Angeles had begun to market itself as the sanitarium of the West, a place where the dry, warm air was said to be a cure for tuberculosis and respiratory illnesses. The railroad enabled this influx of invalids and tourists, driving down ticket prices to as low as $1 for a trip from the Midwest. With it came a boom in real estate, fueling rapid urban sprawl. The demand for housing was insatiable, pushing the city outward and making its boundaries almost unrecognizable. South of the plaza, Main and Spring Streets emerged as the new commercial centers, lined with gas lamps and telegraph poles, symbols of modernity. Yet, even as the city raced forward, the surrounding landscape remained a constant reminder of nature's powerful grip. The streets of Los Angeles, in the 1,880 seconds, were a vivid portrayal of a city caught between the old and the new. As the city sought to modernize, it experimented with ambitious technological innovations, like the Moonlight Tower's tall, towering masts, equipped with intense arc lights designed to illuminate entire neighborhoods. This attempt to banish the darkness was a bold move, reflecting the city's aspiration to appear as a shining beacon of progress in the West. However, this vision of modernity was still in its infancy. The architecture of the time told a similar story. The grand Victorian commercial blocks with their ornate facades began to replace the humble adobe structures of the Mexican era. Streetcars, pulled by horses, rattled through the growing city, connecting the expanding suburbs to the downtown core. These new architectural forms, though grand, were not yet perfected. They reflected a city striving to look like the sophisticated eastern capitals of Chicago or New York, yet still bound by the limitations of its desert environment. The dusty hills in the background were a constant reminder that nature, in all its power and harshness, was never far behind. By the 1,880 seconds, the city's transformation was not just an urban one, it was a complete economic revolution. Agriculture, particularly citrus farming, reshaped the periphery of Los Angeles. The cattle ranches that had once defined the region's economy were being divided into farms and orchards, giving rise to the so-called Orange Empire. As the city's rail connections grew, they brought unprecedented access to markets on the East Coast, allowing freshly picked fruit to be shipped without spoiling. The citrus industry became a vital part of the city's identity, drawing immense wealth to the region. This transformation was not just a shift in the physical landscape, but in the way people viewed Los Angeles itself. The city was no longer just a small frontier town. It had become a mythical Garden of Eden in the minds of Americans back east, with its endless rows of orange groves and snow-capped mountains. This marketing image was instrumental in attracting thousands of settlers, fueling the population boom that would redefine the city in the years to come. The once quiet, dusty settlement had turned into a city poised to shape the future. The architectural landmarks of the 1,880 seconds painted a picture of a city on the rise. One of the most imposing structures of this era was the Baker Block, completed in the late 1,870 seconds. Built on the site of a historic adobe, the Baker Block was considered one of the grandest buildings in Southern California. With its three towers in the French Second Empire style, it was a symbol of Los Angeles' ambition and its burgeoning merchant class. It housed professional offices and was a center of social life, a beacon of the city's shift in power, from the old landowners to the rising merchant elite. However, this grand structure was not immune to the rapid changes of the city. The Baker Block, like many other iconic buildings of the period, was eventually demolished to make way for the 101 freeway. The building that once symbolized the elegance and promise of early Los Angeles now exists only in black and white photographs and archival records. This AI reconstruction helps us stand in the shadow of what was, a rare chance to witness the grandeur of a building that has been lost to time. The Baker Block encapsulates the fleeting nature of the city's past, a city always in motion, forever evolving,